So the bird, the brain, is the body, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So now you see you have the body and you have the bird, and the bird is moved forward by the wings. All right, the right and the left wing. Okay, this is what you have. So you have a brain moving forward. Now, if everything is created in pairs,
Mm-hmm.
everything created in pairs. So that means there's a joining somewhere, okay, in the pairing. There's always a joining, but there's never a overstepping the boundary. All right. This skin cannot go into this skin without causing problems. You see.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a joining which is confluent, complementary, okay, and flows with nature. This is the Tao, the way,
Mm-hmm.
as the Eastern metaphysicians taught us. And they were philosophers, they were also prophets as
Mm-hmm.
well, because Allah
Mm-hmm.
sent prophets to all people at all times. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you see, you have to look for the opposite. Okay, you have to look for the mate.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the mate, then you can see how they are joined. Then you can study the forensics. You can then make a forensic examination to see what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not looking at the whole, because this is a whole, you
Mm-hmm.
see, all right, this is a whole. So whatever is joining them, if there's something wrong out here or in here, you will find it. But if you're not looking at this, you will not see it. You see.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I'm giving you this picture, inshallah. Now, the next thing is, well, how is this joining accomplished
Mm-hmm.
in the material realm? All right. Because we know that we are, as created creatures, we are a representation or a mirror image, okay, of the Creator. There's something that came out of the Creator that is indicative of the Creator, that shows us an attribution of the Creator, and we can see it in the material. This also is wing. You have material wing and you have the metaphysical wing, as above, so below. You see,
Mm-hmm.
this is this is the joining of the wings. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're talking about. As above, so below. So there's something wrong when they're joining when there's something wrong below. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can't necessarily see something in above, but we have an image of it. We have words that have been left behind in the scripture. And these words are very important because the words paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And the picture of those words, when it's properly interpreted, allows you to see what heaven desires here, how this is supposed to image.
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand those words, then you get the image of Buddha sitting under the tree of life, waiting for the inspiration because he made the prayer and he asked God to explain something to him. Now he's waiting for an answer. You see, it happens. This is described in scripture. It's described in parascriptural legends as well.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel even complained to the angel. When the angel finally gave, what took you so long? Said Daniel to the angel. And the angel said, hey, there's a lot of, there's a lot of resistance. It took me 3 weeks just to get through this seventh heaven or whatever heaven it was. We don't know. And it's useless to speculate about these things. But there is a bridge of communication, you see,
Mm-hmm.
between what is heavenly and what is earthly, what is material. And this bridge is what you're studying now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're studying because that's where the light meets the material. It's there. You see? Now, you see it now. Wonderful, wonderful. You will not forget this. You see? Now, this will help you to discern a liar from a truth teller, even as a scientist, because scientists, they get off on a bias, and then they'll follow that bias. There's no bias here. There's no bias here. There's a mystery, and it's at the subatomic plasma level. And at that plasma level, that is where this light somehow transfers electromagnetic forces that cause this material to pick up that light and then invigorate it so that it becomes a complement to the word of heaven. You see? Yeah, and then the better this meeting comes, the better they can do this, just like a married couple. That's it. And there is the mystery of marriage. That's where it is. That's where the yin and the yang in everything meet. Because, you see, this is why Harut and Marut taught the liars in charge, these initiates, okay, they taught them to lie and to separate the yin from the yang. That's what they've done.
So what is happening is that ideally, in the ideal marriage, the male and the female are balanced equally, especially with regards to justice. Functions are different, but they're complementary. And this joining allows both partners to become one flesh, as it's said in the scripture. So they act together in unity. This is what's taking place. And it's meant to take place in an atmosphere of absolute trust. And this thing is very significant with respect to trust, because without all three temples of love, trust cannot germinate. It cannot act in accordance with the natural flux between heaven and earth, where the light meets the material, where the spirit meets the flesh. This has to be done consciously, and for the unity to be realized in an Islamic pattern, an Islamic manner, where the balance is kept, and the balance is the axis, and that is where guidance is achieved. That is where guidance is appreciated. That is where guidance is sought. That is where guidance is given. This is the guidance of the Rahim grace at the upper level, when all three loves are activated and managed consciously so that they maintain the entire temple. This is the masjid. This is the real McCoy. This is religion at its best. And this is what Harut and Marut have destroyed.
Now, let me take this a step further for you, okay? Let's just go back to the married couple, okay? There's always this tension, and it's always bringing you back, and then you come, and we are compelled to actually do the physical intercourse. We are compelled to do it. We must surrender to it. Okay. Allah has built this into the very act. That's why it is sacred. If you don't consider it sacred, you will profane it. And then you will not reach into the third heaven for the Rahim grace, the overflow of the grace that can then fall from your table to feed those beneath you. You see, this is what ennobles leaders. This is what ennobles a true leader. all right, in any field. So when you look at this, and when you consider any pair, you must consider that, you see, and you must consider marriage. And this is also why monogamy is the ideal. Because if there's any other kind of joining, this can't happen.
Oh,
It
okay.
can't happen.
Okay.
It can't happen, you see. So it's a conduit. It is like, the science fiction writers are talking about, the portal. Okay. This is what it is. It is a portal. It is a portal. It's true. This conjugal coming together, this sexual intercourse creates a metaphysical portal that allows this joining of both wings, the male and the female, to come together in perfect harmony, so that the yin and yang in the male and the yang and the yin in the female are working in their own harmonies, and then they come together and they're working together at the same time with the same purpose, the same view in line, and they have surrendered to each other, you see. They have surrendered to each other, and in doing that, face to face, they gaze into each other's eyes at the moment when heaven's will dictates the very thing that they're doing. And that's when they see the gift of God in each other. You see, there's no greater ecstasy than this, which is why they call the drug ecstasy. You see, it's false. It's a false source of the dopamine. It's a false source of the oxytocin. It's a false source of the serotonin. It's all artificial. This is real.
Okay.
This is real. And this joins you to kun via kun. And it transfers that, you see, one to the other, so that both mates are on the same page. And you can do this with your colleagues. You see, when your marriage is in order, then everything else falls in order. Everything else will fall in order, so that the things that you need, the people that you need, the persons that you need, the resources that you need, Allah will bring them to you. All you have to do is confer with your wife to make sure that none of these things are disturbing your qibla, your destiny. You see? When you do that, this frequent coming together, this frequent falling into the post-ecstasy trance, that wonderful place where you're halfway between heaven and earth and you're aware, you see, it's called the little death. Salvador Dali put it on the crucifix. That's what it is. It's a transformative power. That's resurrection. Then comes ascension.
It is your next video. This is in your next video.
Yes.
I'm waiting
going to try. Good. I'm going to try and explain this in the next video. It will take a few because it's complicated. But does that help you now?
Yes.
Because whenever you're looking at these, right now there's this theory that the microtubules in the cellular structures are carrying the light. And there seems to be a correspondence with that. Well, you have to then determine what is this, which came first, the chicken or the egg here? What is the yin or the yang, or the human or the yin and the yang? What came first? We don't know. But so all these things have to be looked at. But when you're looking at these things, if you keep this model in mind, you're always looking for the complement. You see, that's what they're doing in subatomic particle physics anyway. They're always looking for another complement, and they'll never. There's no end of complements. You see, they're going to keep on finding stuff that they haven't known existed before, probably because it's They're creating this stuff, you see, and they don't realize that as well, you see. So this is complicated, but you reach the end when you find the counterpart, when you find the opposite, when you find the opposite, when you find the mirror image, okay? Now, here, I'm going to tell you one more thing about the mirror image. Okay, this is humankind, okay? There's something called human, all right? And there's a difference between human and humankind. Okay, so let's just set that aside for the moment. We'll bring back humankind. We're just an image of Allah, the real God. Okay, so if we're just an image, all right, now walk up to a mirror, you look in the mirror, you can see your image. Okay, you can break that image, you can break that mirror, and you won't see the image anymore. It doesn't affect you at all, does it? So we must remember that when we're talking about ourselves, we're just an image. We're no different than that, sort of, relatively speaking, we're no different than that image we see when we stand in front of the mirror. You break the mirror, you're gone. That image is gone. You see, this never changes. All right. So don't confuse the two. That is where the pagans kind of went wrong. They began to confuse the two, and when you confuse the two, you can't really. There's no complement. You can't. That's idolatry. So there's no descent. There's the same. You get the same grace as everyone else. The rain, the sunshine, the oxygen. That's it. The bullets, and you get everything. All right. When you ascend to the third level, okay, and you incorporate the erotic love, the affectionate love, and the love of reverence and piety, then you ascend to a level, and then you get this Rahim grace. And that's where the apostles and those who follow them are kept protected after the declaration is made. If there's no disobedience, they will be protected. And if they have to make hijrah, Allah will make the hijrah for them, make it very, very clear. They will get the dreams, they'll get the visions, they'll get everything they need brought to them. This is the archetype.
Okay.
So you stay on Qibla, then everything you need to fit your destiny, whether it's you and your wife together, you and your children together, there's a complementarity there. You have to look for all of these images, all these mirrors, and find out what their limitations are and how best you can work together with them, you see, within the boundaries of those limitations. There are some people that just will not fit in with you. These they have to be exiled. There's no nice guy here. Okay. That's when the men stand firmly, you will not pass. All right, that's your job. You see. Yeah, that's your job. So I hope that helps you to understand, dear brother. Any other questions you want me to consider?
Yes, thank you for the feedback. I have to hear this conversation because of the language problem. I have to notice. So thank you very much.
Several things. Is there anything else on your mind before we?
No, thank you. No, everything was okay. Thank you very much.
Fine. Then we'll make an end here, and I will probably use some of it as teaching materials for one of my YouTube follow-ups regarding this marriage thing, because it's very important. People are concerned about this. They're confused about it, and I'm going to try and do my best to help them understand, dear brother. And you've just been part of that. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you to you.
Wassalamu alaikum, dear brother.
Alaikum salam.
So please, stay tuned. There's more to come. Very soon. Thank you. Peace be with you. Understand who you are, where you are, and what you must do for each other.